Hello team, welcome back to another Line War cast. Here's your map real quick. Bunch of mountains on the right hand side, bunch of oils, bunch of cities, you know the drill. Our two players today are ElectriciTE in red and Do Dark Rush NL, which I maybe might be Netherlands. Who knows what it is? I probably butchered the name anyway. Here we go. We can immediately see that electricity. This is going to be a hard word. I want to keep saying electric tea. This is the problem. ElectriciTE can see that Dark Rush is right here. Dark Rush can see the exact same thing. This is actually really cool play by Dark Rush to immediately dig in right here. The airport for Dark Rush and a factory. I mean, the spawns are obviously super close, right? So two factories right away is a very safe move. I'm actually interested to see what electricity does, because there's still no response, which seems like a long time to immediately identify your opponents here and then to really take the second to think about that. I like that patience. Two barracks, two factories for electricity. This barracks is actually really great because there's a lot of economy in the back. One airport and just backing off from this defensive line. So it's ultimately going to be a 3 barracks, 2 factory, 1 airport opener from electricity, and a 2 factory, 2 barracks, 1 airport opener from Dark Rush. So what are we missing? So electricity has one more factory than Dark Rush. So electricity is actually in the red right now on income. And Dark Rush is going for industry right away. Helicopters and 2 tanks, which is super interesting. I assume this is the gas that Dark Rush would like to get. There's a really safe one in the water here. One of the problems with water gas is when it's such a small little lake is I guess you have to build an entire dock just to cap that. This is still a great diggin from Dark Rush. One artillery piece, which I can't imagine this was an error if there's actually artillery coming out of this one in the back. So one artillery piece. Now, I mean, I guess this can actually start attacking the defensive line potentially. And having artillery around is never a bad thing. Economy is 332 for electricity and 320 for Dark Rush. Dark Rush is in blue. If that was not obvious, electricity is in red on the bottom. We can check both players' lines. It could have turned into a very scrappy beginning of the game, but both players have backed off a little bit. I mean, we can see on the lines here that electricity is actually going to go for a double commando expand, one to the right and one to the left. This is actually a really good move, or I feel like it is and could be, because you really get an idea of where your opponent's got to, right? Like if you have a commando all the way up here and Dark Rush hasn't capped anything, you know how far, like where Dark Rush is on the map and how you have them contained. We can hear that little snipe. That's our first commando coming out. And these barracks must be either alternating or electricity actually made one commando and then turned it back to infantry, which would be a next level play. Or rather, I would never remember to switch it back. Holy cow. 380 income for electricity, 390 for Dark Rush, pardon me. So not that big of a difference. It's not notable right now. The fourth tanks are coming out, and we'll see if that's when Dark Rush decides to go for an attack or something. 2 helicopters already. Still no gas, which I guess if you're Dark Rush, you don't really need a gas if you're not going to move the tanks right away. Interceptors from electricity. So it's going to be Interceptor Striker out of electricity and 1 tank. This feels like a very eclectic opener from both players. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Maybe this isn't that unusual, but certainly like all these different like tech switches, it's I'm very interested to see where this game goes. I think economy wise, Dark Rush probably has a decent spot, but then I mean, it's going to come down to this top right corner, I think. Whoever can control this top right part of the map, there's so much economy here. There's 2 cities in the right, these 3 gases in the back. There's actually a 3rd city in the bottom. And over on this side, there's really only these 2 cities and not all that much economy. Very safe, or not all that much gas, rather, right? And not that much land. The gas from Dark Rush is in a great spot. That's going to be super safe. Super safe. Dark Rush's helicopters are starting to get some hits on these infantry. And an interceptor against 2 helicopters. This is a very quick pullback from Dark Rush, and I love it. Because I don't think 1 interceptor here is going to be able to do anything. Especially when these helicopters get out of here so quickly. Economy check 452 for electricity and 450 for Dark Rush. However, Dark Rush is making a little bit more money. I guess it's only 50, so it's not that important, right? So electricity at 104 per minute and Dark Rush at about 150. Really interested to see if Dark Rush is going for more tanks. So it will be 6 tanks. 6 tanks off of 1 gas while flying 2 helicopters. I don't actually know if that's enough gas. That's one of the questions here. Are these tanks going to be able to move with the helicopters? We can watch the energy of Dark Rush in the top right. And I guess it's staying pretty stable. Even with these helicopters flying, I'm actually kind of impressed. And this industry is right in electricity's face. Can electricity see this? That's BM. It's got to be BM. I'm obviously kidding, but like, this is a very confident if Dark Rush looks at this and says, I'm clearly going to push this, so I'm going to build economy right in your face. And I guess it would make sense because this many tanks can kill this many artillery, no problem. And so if you really think you're going to wipe this and then just push, you're going to be able to buy time to make that economy work. It's kind of an interesting play, for sure. I mean, this is the big fight. 3 helicopters against 1 SAM, 1 Striker. Electricity is actually also going to be out of gas too, because electricity doesn't even have a gas up yet. And I'm really interested to see, is electricity building any gas right yet? Now, there's only 1 barracks in the bottom, so these tanks for Dark Rush are going to do a ton of damage potentially. 4 helicopters against 1 SAM. I mean, none of the helicopters go down. The Striker is going to be able to help out a decent amount, although now it's out of gas. 2 commandos trying to make their way through the mountains, and they probably, well, at this point they probably won't, but if they got the good RNG on that and got it down to a 2v2, I think they probably would have. Income wise, 640 for Dark Rush and 548 for electricity. So this is gonna be a tough position. I think electricity, the good thing is that electricity is getting the top right of the map, right? And then Dark Rush is starting to econ up here, but this is very bold, especially if these infantry can push up here and punish it. Although, that being said, if electricity loses all this production, it's not really going to matter. We can look at the vision of Dark Rush. So Dark Rush has enough units here to start spotting some of these barracks, not the ones in the mountains, mind you. Tanks don't have very good vision. And folks in Twitch chat the other day were talking about commandos and tanks pair very well because commandos actually grant extra vision, these little folks with the parachutes, right? And it's an interesting concept, and it's interesting to see how it's used, because right now, I mean, you can see how much stuff has to get close to this building to even be able to spot it. Tanks are very slow in mountains, especially mountains that aren't owned by you, like unfriendly, uncontrolled territory. We can see in the tooltip here, I mean, tank speed territory is 60% slower in uncontrolled territory. Income-wise, 780 for Dark Rush while making 400 a minute, and 600 for electricity, making 176. So electricity is definitely at a disadvantage right now. Really needs a gas. Here's the first gas for electricity. The great thing, of course, again, to highlight it, is this top right field. There's so much economy here. So if electricity can hold this and then start to claw back the eco fight, they might be okay. Although with these industries from Dark Rush, I mean, if they get online and that becomes a worthwhile investment, it's going to be harder for electricity to come back here. This is definitely going to be held. With the amount of strikers and the interceptor and the artillery piece, maybe this 1 barracks goes down. Although I would be surprised. This is actually a ferocious fight in the bottom left. There's enough infantry here that this could be a little bit problematic for electricity, although the longer that barracks pumps out units, the less of a problem that becomes. Electricity's now got the gas under control. Econ check 644 for electricity and 864 for Dark Rush. So this is now getting to the point of extremely impressive to be able to kind of claw this back. I mean, really, so this is going to be great for electricity. But I think with 200 more at this point, 876 making 413 a minute, 680. I mean, electricity is starting to come back a little bit because the income's shot up to 217 per minute. It's very interesting. This is maybe closer than I'm giving it credit for. This, I think red is going to clear up just as a numbers game. The way that these units are going to move in. 5 on the bottom. Yeah, it's a 5v5 here, except there's a barracks that's going to pump out more units, and the strikers are going to come help out. This industry was in fact punished by electricity. Second airport for Dark Rush. And it's a massive barracks and factories in the middle for Dark Rush, which is, I think, I like the layout of this base. It's very central, and you're able to bust out either on the right side, the bottom, or the left very easily. Second airport makes a lot of sense. We'll see what the planes are. So it's all helicopters, which I love. Talking in the Discord the other day, the helicopters certainly look super cool. That's the statement. That's the, if you take one thing away from the video, that's what it needs to be. 842 for Dark Rush income wise, 740 for electricity. So I guess in hindsight, the top right must be that much economy in the bottom here. And maybe Dark Rush just hasn't been capping all that much. I mean, there's another barracks coming up over here to like start capping, but Dark Rush hasn't actually been able to bust out into this left field. And imagine if that gas of Dark Rush is in the left side of the map actually goes down. That would be a huge coup for electricity. This is definitely, I think, what's needed from Dark Rush to take back all this economy. We can hear another barracks going down for Dark Rush. I love this on the left side, because certainly this left side is going to become important, especially now that Dark Rush can see that this territory is getting capped. I don't know if that's why the barracks went down, but it's certainly a good play. Sam's in the middle, unfortunately, are not going to be able to help out these tanks at all. And that's why we see Dark Rush kind of dipping out of here. This might even be a retreat line, because these tanks are really just sitting here, unfortunately. And it's still helicopters out of the airports. Tanks in the center under fire. Pardon me, the SAMs in the middle are under fire. The tanks on the top right are also under fire. I feel like the economy might be tied now. 914 for Dark Rush. Okay, so 788 for electricity. This would be a big pickup to be able to snipe that gas. And of course, again, it's going to be this top right part of the map that's going to dictate this. This center push is huge. I mean, this is a lot of helicopters for Dark Rush right now. The nice thing about helicopters being they like clump easily. You can get a bunch of them like this, and they just hover over the targets for constant damage. Electricity, that's their second airport. I like this. This is definitely time to do it. These SAMs are going to be huge, because they're going to kill at least 2 of these helicopters. I'm shocked if it doesn't get 2. Yeah, okay, there it is. Definitely 2. These strikers are going to be able to continue to get good trades on the top right, because there's no AA. In the bottom left of the screen, we can see that electricity just got that gas. That's enormous. For Dark Rush, it puts them down to 1 gas. We heard electricity following that up with the barracks. This is a great place for it, I think, to get more of that left field. So important. And this is what 1 battery of SAMs will do to helicopters. It just makes it so that they're very difficult to use and get any damage at all. The strikers are doing great, but there's only 2 of them, so it's kind of hard for them to do any substantial damage. These infantry definitely traded out for the gas, probably, and definitely actually will get that industry, so even more cost effective. 860 income for electricity and 960 for Dark Rush, so now within 100, both players. Barracks in the top right, love it from Dark Rush, because again, this field is a lot of space, a lot of land, it's a lot of economy, so capturing that is very important. I'm almost surprised that Dark Rush isn't switching it up from helicopters right now. I mean, I love that they aren't with the helicopter strat, but you'd think at some point you want to get off of helicopters, especially as the map gets a little bit bigger. But then it's also a big land map, so I mean, if you can make helicopters work and you can avoid SAMs, they're always going to be good. Fortunately for Dark Rush, that gas snipe from electricity was huge, because this is now the only gas I wonder what Dark Rush thinks when they see all this. There's a line of infantry beelining it for the center of the base. This map's definitely getting wide, folks. So, like, how do we keep track of this? 964 income for Dark Rush, 954 for electricity. So electricity has now got even on the income. This group of infantry is just causing such a headache for Dark Rush. The barracks in the bottom right love it from electricity. And this left field, if Dark Rush can get a handle on the gas and maybe get these helicopters to do well on the left side, because there's really no AA from electricity on the right side, and it's hard to make them worth anything here. The only problem, of course, being that, like, can you even stop this artillery push as Dark Rush? Factory on the right side from electricity, and here's the second gas, the replacement gas from Dark Rush. Dark Rush definitely has the numbers on the far left side. This is a great run by. It's turned out to be just a fantastic run by. There are enough helicopters, if they were to swing over to the left here, they would be able to deal with that infantry, or at least trade out a lot with it. But unfortunately for Dark Rush, that gas snipe from electricity is really causing them issues. 990 income for electricity, 1048 for Dark Rush, and we hear that Dark Rush is out of gas again. I mean, Dark Rush has 4 tanks on the right side and 3 tanks on the left side. Certainly still with the economy lead. This is another barracks for Dark Rush. I mean, really, if Dark Rush defends this, especially these infantry, which I think the infantry will take out this industry and maybe one more production building. But if Dark Rush defends, they're still in a good spot. Although this could become a problem, because there's 3 barracks and 1 factory on the right side of the map for electricity, and Dark Rush only has 1 barracks. So over time, that right side of the map is going to become more like electricity is going to have the upper hand there. I think I heard a barracks somewhere for Dark Rush. I'm not sure exactly where it is. This is huge. This infantry acting like commandos kind of and just like running by. I love it. I think this is a great move. I mean, it takes a lot, like the helicopters away from the front. It takes the helicopters away from, you know, killing buildings. And in this case, these infantry actually get slippery enough to go snipe that gas. This could be huge for electricity. In the center there. This is great for Dark Rush in the top right of the map. But if this does a lot of damage, it could be irreparable. 1098 income for electricity and 1050 for Dark Rush, who is about to lose another gas. So, like, Dark Rush has a very healthy amount of choppers at this point. Right, 7 or so? Yeah, there's about 7. There's an 8th one that just popped. These tanks are huge against this artillery. The only problem, of course, again, is that the gas might go out for Dark Rush. But look at how fast these tanks just shred. And once these tanks, if these tanks were able to get on the SAMs, it'd be huge. It's great that electricity has the strikers to be able to defend that barracks. It's going to be too bad if it does go down. I think clearly on the left side of the map, Dark Rush has the upper hand. On the right side, clearly it's the opposite case. The electricity is just taking that whole field. So we probably will see the incomes reverse relatively soon. 1120 income for Dark Rush and 1158 for electricity. Both players with relatively even income. So really, in a lot of ways, this is even. I'd say the long-term prospects look more decent for electricity just because of this right side of the map. Another factory from electricity, and it's to back this up. I'm actually kind of surprised that barracks was able to stay alive. 4 tanks. I mean, 4 tanks. The only reason that these 4 tanks can't just like bust through to get onto this production is really, I think, the strikers. Like, electricity has 2 airports full of strikers right now. So let's see, like, what is the plan? Yeah, so it is a little bit of a push. Dark Rush's lines indicate that they would like to push. Unfortunately, that gas snipe, the second one of the game from electricity, is just so huge. And this is, I mean, this squad is just doing a great job. And even in the back too, they could start capping. And this is what they've done by killing the second gas. These tanks are all stalled here. I mean, one tank would be able to at least help out these infantry try to deal with this entrenched artillery, which now that the patch is out is actually quite good. 1,200 income for Dark Rush, who just put down another barracks, and 1,200 income for electricity, so this is about as close as you can get it. Electricity has the gas, and I mean, I think with just a striker launch, electricity is going to be able to clean this up, because the SAMs are still in the back, as they kind of have to be. If Dark Rush moved these SAMs to the front lines to deal with these planes, then electricity could just send the planes in on the production and the gas and deal with all of it. So it's kind of it's a tough position to be in. On the left side, I totally missed this. This dig-in was never gonna, well, unfortunately, I mean, of course it's a great dig-in, but it's not gonna work against 3 tanks and a few artillery, and a few infantry, pardon me. Right side, this is more of an annoyance than anything. Electricity is winning in the top right. We can go big picture, that's what we're talking about in the barracks. In the top left, electricity's folks are actually capping. That could become a proxy base. With this sort of income, electricity, if they think they can get away with it, probably a proxy base, or even just one barracks for commandos or something. This is a relatively big battle. On the left side, clearly, Dark Rush has that. I mean, the planes can't fly forever, and I guess those 3 tanks were able to stay alive. So what do we have? There's 4 factories on Dark Rush's side of the map, and there are 2 on electricities in this main base. Like, what is contributing to this part of the map? And I wonder if that's the difference here, because it certainly does feel like there's somehow more stuff for Dark Rush. This is kind of good for electricity, I think, to trade that many infantry. Maybe if these infantry were helping out, I'm not sure. Income check again, 1262 for electricity, who puts down another factory. I mean, speak of the devil, that's exactly what we're talking about. And 1312 for Dark Rush, so it's very, very close. These SAMs aren't going to be able to push this. And I think with this 3rd factory, especially as it comes online, well, I mean, that's a lot of infantry for Dark Rush that's showing up. But I think if electricity puts even 1 more factory down, this will be okay, right? And they have the money for it. Some industry in the back for electricity, and there we go, another factory, and it's in the exact same spot. That's wild. Isn't that wild? I think that's a great play. Dark Rush, I think, is just going to have trouble on the top right, because this is definitely important. The helicopters could be super MVP on that side. Because I think there's only 1 interceptor, and really the SAMs are all at home. So, I mean, there's a handful of SAMs, but like 2 SAMs in that field isn't enough for even 5, 6 helicopters, unless some of them die to this infantry. And I guess it's just a question of the amount of gas that Dark Rush has. Income-wise, electricity is making 400 a minute. 1,300 total income, and 13. This is still very close. Econ-wise, this is very close. I guess Dark Rush has got the whole left side of the map, really, besides like these territories. And there's and still Dark Rush is actually pushing here and going to take more income and more territory from electricity. Electricity has the whole right side of the map, but this is going to be another good push. This is a wildly close game. Especially with this much infantry on the left. Dark Rush is going for more economy, which I definitely think is the right play at this point. Especially if Dark Rush thinks that they're going to be able to hold the middle fully, which I think they are. But really, I mean, this is the beauty of Line War. So you have a little skirmish in the bottom left. There's the whole middle to consider. I'm not sure if Dark Rush would have thought that a bunch of the buildings would be in this part of the mountain. I guess now it's coming into vision, but it is interesting to think that all this infantry went through here. It's a great position to be in, I guess, because electricity, I don't think electricity can see everything in here. I guess the buildings are close enough. I don't know, still learning. 5 factories for electricity, and now 4 factories for Dark Rush. So electricity actually has the better, like the higher output, factory-wise, that can actually contribute to the center. This is a good push from Dark Rush. I think the game really hinges, in some sense, on whether Dark Rush can make this blob of units do well and keep up the pressure here. Electricity's going for a counter push to the bottom left. That's huge. Another barracks for electricity. I like it, especially that barracks can help out here or in the bottom left to recapture all of that territory. It's a ton of infantry from Dark Rush. 1341 income for electricity. 1418 for Dark Rush, who has slightly more money. And so now with this whole infantry on the bottom left caving in on this production, what has to happen now is that electricity has to divert some amount of units to the left to be able to deal with all that infantry. And as that happens, they lose numbers in the front, right? And so now Dark Rush can continue to push. With this many SAMs, it's going to be good to go against these strikers. And we can see that Dark Rush kind of move these in there. Although this many planes, I mean, there's still one SAM that's going. It's really a question of whether what happens here. I really think this. One factory for Dark Rush, we definitely heard that go down. I assume it's somewhere in the middle. Although maybe not. This is definitely all like Dark Rush. This factory is so close, but I love it. Clearly. This is a great defense line. It's gonna take so much time for electricity to bust out of here. If this infantry runs into this entrenched artillery, there's no way this is going to work for Dark Rush. I wonder how many of these helicopters have died. Electricity is able to pick this up and clean it up just because I think with all this production, it's just way more than Dark Rush has been able to, you know, put towards the top. It's not like there's a ton of production facilities pushing into this field, unlike electricity, which has the entire right side pushing into that one field. This is a huge defensive line, and this is definitely going to work. Look at the range on this artillery. That would be big. I don't think it's going to work. I mean, the counter push of infantry from Dark Rush is going to be able to at least push that bottom left side. Income-wise, 1430 for Dark Rush and 1423 for electricity. I think this is probably the closest economic game that we've cast on this channel, because every time I go to look at it, it's both players have the exact same. So props to both players for like the tug of war and keeping the economy in check this game. It's a good artillery push, but this might be one of those things where as Dark Rush gets closer to electricity's base, electricity's reinforcements get here quicker. So it still doesn't look that bad for Dark Rush, but this is going to turn around for electricity. I am pretty sure that's going to turn around for electricity. This is certainly not. Those folks are in a lot of trouble. Great battle for the right side of the field. I mean, all the units of Dark Rush got cleaned up in the top right. I don't know where this factory is. Here's a town for electricity, so more on the economy. The factory, okay, so barracks factory right here. Clearly electricity knows that on the bottom left side of the map that they're going to lose that, and there will be a push. Kind of counter push to the mountains from electricity. And it's still only helicopters from Dark Rush. Yeah, this is definitely fizzling a little bit for Dark Rush. 1447 for electricity and 1394 for Dark Rush. Income-wise. I mean, Dark Rush still has tons of money, so here comes another factory. But something to note is that electricity now has 2 full airports of strikers, rather 3. Because there is on this right side, and Dark Rush doesn't really have any SAMs, and these units are thinning out. Yeah, so here comes the defensive lines, the backup, and I think electricity will win this game. If electricity can actually send in these planes and start hitting production, this could be really bad Dark Rush. These units for electricity are kind of just walking one by one, unfortunately. So this is... Dark Rush is going to be able to push this back. But I mean, of course, like, only until this far. And then, of course, all this, like, production kicks in. Really, it's if electricity can defend this bottom side and not let this turn into a huge problem. Maybe even some entrenchments. I'm not sure what the plan's going to be. But with 2 full airports and an airstrip potentially on the way to get more strikers. And 3 SAMs. 4 SAMs now. I wonder if electricity is going to be able to make that work. The top right side of the map is now totally electricity's, besides this wonderful sneaky base for Dark Rush. Economy and industry already going down for electricity. Dark Rush now is 1310 economy at 30 a minute. And electricity is making 400 a minute at 1579. I think we just felt the moment where this is swayed, and it's gonna be all this economy, I think. On the top right, these 2 industries, these 2 farms for electricity. I'm kind of surprised electricity is actually pushing through this and trying to, but I mean, I guess really, it even looks good, right? Like, electricity must see this, and like, this doesn't look that scary. There's not that much artillery that you have to push against. See, this is what I'm talking about. Like, I wonder if these strikers are going to be able to proc to some of these buildings. I guess not when there's no gas. It's a good problem to have, to be moving all these tanks and planes and not have enough gas. Another town already in industry for electricity. And these defensive lines for Dark Rush have been deleted. There's no way that this is going to work. I don't even think... I guess, like, backing these artillery up does make sense, because especially with these tanks, they're not going to be able to do much. But in some sense, like, I think there's just enough here. I mean, some of these units aren't even showing up. And I think these units could have almost cleared everything. Either way, electricity has 800 monies now. Dark Rush has 163. Electricity has taken enough of Dark Rush's territory now that the production Dark Rush build can... Like, now they're in the red on money. This is certainly the last dish attempt. And with 3 artillery, I mean, this is going to be a hard trades for Dark Rush. And keep in mind, these planes haven't even launched for electricity. I guess electricity is almost out of gas. But these are the plays. Because now with all these planes, as long as electricity can fly them and keep the gas, they're just going to be able to click on this building, I mean probably this building next, I have no idea. Whatever order of buildings electricity would like to attack in Dark Rush's base. 2 more factories, which are kind of close, although I think they're going to be able to get up in time, especially with planes helping to defend. This is the number of strikers that will be able to kill this without, I think, any of them dying. Maybe this last one. 9 range? No. Yep, and this attack fizzles. There's no defense lines for Dark Rush to fall back to. Even if Dark Rush went to all SAMs at this point, they would probably die to the ground push from electricity. I think these production facilities were huge for electricity in this game. To be able to get this right side. Dark Rush, like, breaking out from this proxy base to try to get more economy back, but at this point it is too little too late. Neither of these production facilities go down immediately, with 3 whole airports, or 2 whole airports, I guess, of strikers launching to this with 3 SAMs. The interceptor is definitely going to go down. It's unfortunate for that thing that it's that much quicker. But maybe one of those production facilities will fall. But really, on the top right, electricity is going to have enough to deal with this. And then the center, I mean, these artillery aren't even shooting anymore. So that many strikers, and they do enough to maybe, oh, I mean, I guess they saved the factory, but they won't be able to save the barracks. This is still quite a lot of units from Dark Rush. Okay, we can't look away. I mean, we know what's going on. Okay, so the infantry do get it. On this right side, that is a great amount of air coverage. town and another industry for electricity. There's another gas, which is exactly the play. Or I believe it's exactly the play. And there you go, GG. Very well played to both players. Legitimately one of the closest, if not the closest, games we've casted. Certainly from an economic point of view, it was close. Okay, so one barracks for commandos in the top. Very nice. Okay, what's up? Thank you folks for watching and hanging out, and I hope you enjoyed it. You can check out the channel for more videos. Drop by the Line War Discord if you'd like to chat to other people who are into the game, learn about the game, ask questions, whatever. Drop by Twitch, say hello, follow the category. Enjoy your night, day, evening, whatever it is for you. We'll see you soon. Peace.